Shrink Wrap Radio. All the psychology you need to know, and just enough to make you dangerous.
Shrink Wrap Radio number 252. A Buddhist Perspective on Psychotherapy with Dr. Mark Epstein.
Welcome to Shrink Wrap Radio, the planet's premier psychology podcast with your host, Dr. Dave. Coming to you from the San Francisco Bay Area, Shrink Wrap Radio is the show that speaks to the psychologist in you, whether you be amateur, student, or professional.
Well, what the Buddhists say is that we take ourselves too seriously. They suggest that we unconsciously exaggerate the sense of self and that we take ourselves to be more real than we actually are. They don't suggest that we're not real at all or that we're actually empty in the sense of there being nobody there, or in the sense of being void or something. What they're talking about is that there's a way that our own self-importance unconsciously makes us exaggerate the feeling of self, and that gets us into trouble.
That was the voice of my guest, Dr. Mark Epstein, discussing the Buddhist concept of emptiness in relation to psychoanalytic concepts of self. Mark Epstein, MD, is a psychiatrist and author of Psychotherapy Without the Self, A Buddhist Perspective, Going to Pieces Without Falling Apart, and Thoughts Without a Thinker, Psychotherapy from a Buddhist Perspective. Dr. Epstein is a graduate of Harvard College and the Harvard Medical School. He's a psychotherapist with a private practice in New York City and clinical assistant professor of psychology at New York University. Dr. Epstein has been a contributing editor to Tricycle, the Buddhist Review, since it was founded in 1991. He writes for Yoga Journal, the Oprah Magazine, Buddha Dharma, Body and Soul, and other periodicals. Mark Epstein is the author of well-respected books that deal with the difficult and counterintuitive Eastern teachings of non-self, a concept which is sometimes proven so alien to the Western mind as to be out of reach for many Western Buddhists. As a student of Vipassana meditation, he teaches periodically with Sharon Salzberg and Robert Thurman at Tibet House in New York and lectures to therapists around the country on the relationship of Buddhist and Western approaches to psychotherapy. Now, here's the interview. Dr. Mark Epstein, welcome to Shrink Wrap Radio.
Thank you.
I'm under the impression that you were a meditator before you became a doctor. Is that right?
That's right. I was interested in Buddhism, deeply interested in Buddhism, and involved in meditation before I went to medical school.
So how did you initially become drawn to Buddhism and meditation?
I took an introductory religion class when I was in college and read the Dhammapada, which seemed very alive and vibrant to me, and then majored in psychology and took other courses that had bits and pieces of Buddhist psychology mixed in, and found a graduate student who was a teaching fellow in one of my psychology courses who was already interested in Buddhism.